Can you give me like a testing 1, 2, 3 sort of?
Testing 1, 2, 3. I don't know where Joe Peschel is, but I hope he just pops up out of the ceilings of Ward 4. Yeah, I haven't seen that dude in a while, but I think last time I was here, I locked. Tyler Reitzman and I were doing a video shoot in the Commons office. I don't even know if that's their office anymore. Down the hall a little bit. We were doing a shoot for a Kickstarter, and we finished up at like midnight. We were flying out to go to DC the next day for a shoot, and we freaking locked our big. We had like a big, probably like 5-6 foot carrying luggage thing with all of our like lights in it. Freaking closed the door, locked it in there.
Yeah.
We're like, oh shit! So I had to text Joe, drive to his house in Bayview, and get a spare key. Come back here.
Oh my
get
god,
our bag
that
back.
sucks.
Because we were leaving in the morning.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that's the last time I was in Ward 4.
Oh man. This is the Said No One Ever podcast, a podcast about things you never knew you wanted to hear about. I'm your host, Martin Moore. Let's get into it. Well, welcome. This is episode 22 of the Said No One Ever podcast. I'm your host, Martin Moore. Finally back on the mic again. It's been like 3 months. Ian went back to go play for the Wave, so that's why he's not doing the show now. We lost our studio, so I've had to like try and find like a new space. But I'm so glad because you were our first episode for Hustle Porn.
Yes.
And you were the first episode of season 1. And you're the second.
Damn! I thought I repeated
season 2.
1 and 1. Hey, 1 and 2 is not bad at all.
But I'm really jacked for you to be on this episode because it's one I've wanted to do for a while. But I feel like there's only a handful of people I know who can really sort of kind of get into this topic. Future vibes.
Yes.
Like I want to talk about tech and how it's really influenced just social media. Just the world around us, the way we work, healthcare. COVID has really kind of advanced so many things as far as like tech and healthcare and the way we think about work and the gig economy. So there's a lot I want to get into and sort of like unpack and just kind of like chop it up with you. Because you are one of a handful of people, like I said, that knows a lot about this, and we kind of nerd out about stuff. So to introduce you, you are Sam Lister. You own Blank Slate Media. You're a YouTuber. You're on LinkedIn. Why don't you tell people a little bit about who you are, what you do, if they haven't heard you from episode 1, season 1, Hustle Porn.
Yeah, I'm Sam. Martin, thanks for having me on. Super grateful to obviously be here. This is probably one of my first in-person podcasts I've done in a while.
It's weird, isn't it?
Maybe all of 2022.
I've only done 2 podcasts this whole year so far.
Yeah, I don't think I did like a ton of podcasts. I guess we can dive into that. But long story short, I'm Sam. I've been in social media video space since 2018. So really right after high school, I decided not to go to college. I wanted to just jump right into entrepreneurship, test a handful of different things, but eventually through that testing process landed on video, and then pretty much built a video production company from late 2018 to early 2020. Then the world decided to shut down and we lost all of our business, all of our clients. And in March 2020, that's when I pivoted to video editing. So now we have a team of 20 plus video editors, and we do all remote video editing for other entrepreneurs out there and brands and agencies. So
that's so dope.
It's been a huge turn since obviously COVID hit and the pandemic shut down the world. So I'm super grateful that it happened, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously it's not ideal, but you can make the most out of it.
Well, exactly.
That's definitely what
you were able to, I hate using this word, but you were able to pivot and kind of rebrand isn't the word, but restructure your entire business to kind of fit and mold the world that COVID ended up creating for us. And, there was always like two kinds of business owners out there during COVID. It was people who were going to just sit back and let COVID, just take away everything that they've done and built, or they were going to try and change up what they did and try and make the best of it. And it's been cool watching you because I've known you for, I don't know, probably like 5 years.
Yeah.
Like I've known you before Blank Slate and everything, before your podcast and everything.
Yep.
And like just watching not only you grow, but how quickly you've grown and how successful you've grown. It's been really dope. Like
Thank you.
You've been very inspiring. So
I appreciate that.
So let's get into, I want to get into like 3 key areas as far as this Future Vibes episodes. I want to get into tech and technology, work, and social media. And so one of the first things I want to get into, because when you told me, or I think I saw it first on, you posted on like Instagram, a dream of yours was to own a Tesla.
Yep.
And as someone, most people know this, but I worked on cars for 20 years. And I remember when Tesla came out, and it was really fascinating because it was like when the first iPhone came out.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing it and going, this is the future of phones. Like every phone is going to be, everyone's going to have this computer in there. You know, it just made so much sense. And when I saw the first, I think the Model 3, that was that was like the first real like one accessible one to like consumers. I was just like, this is the future, you know? And so when you got yours, I was just like, oh, I want to talk about it. Because it's shocking that in 2022, there is an American car company that just kind of was manifested out of thin air. I mean, up until now, we had what? Chrysler, Ford, and GM, and like that was about it.
And they've all been bankrupt multiple times
exactly.
before.
So kind of break down your thoughts now that you own a Tesla, but what fascinates you about the company and just the car itself and the technology itself, and where you think like just personal automobiles are going, because it's obviously changed big time since I started driving like in 1996.
This is definitely not a sales pitch. You should probably not buy a Tesla. It's not worth the investment unless the purchase dives into something deeper than just a car. I don't think any new car is worth buying a new car. So from an investment standpoint, this is not financial advice, but you should probably not buy one. But I guess I kind of reverse engineered and manifested the Tesla in 7th grade. I thought it would be so cool to own a silent car, like something that just doesn't make any noise when you drive. I didn't even know what Tesla was during the time, but again, I've never been like crazy into cars, but I've always had a fascination of going super fast.
Right.
I've loved going fast, and I love technology and cars too, to a certain extent. I'm no crazy gearhead, but then I found Tesla in I think 7th, 8th grade. I did my 8th grade energy report on Tesla and the future of like solar and everything.
Do you still have that? Boy, wouldn't that be fun to bust?
I'm trying to contact my old middle school and high school, because I did my 8th grade energy project on Tesla. I did my sophomore year paper in English class about Elon, and then I did my senior year environmental, like AP environmental project on the whole Tesla ecosystem. So I've done like school projects on Tesla like 3 times from like 8th grade to senior year. So I've always had this fascination of tech, and Elon specifically, because he's just so crazy. Out there, love him or hate him, like he's made shit happen.
Oh, you cannot deny his motivation, and you can't deny his ingenuity and integrity and his intellect. I mean, he has a vision that very few people have. Steve Jobs, Leonardo da Vinci. I mean, just there's only been a handful of people that actually you when you hear the words come out of their mouth, and he's like, we're gonna go to Mars, and you're like, yeah, I believe it. And I remember, because I grew up during like the whole space shuttle thing and watching that. And I thought that was like peak space. Like I was gonna die before I saw like anything that would surpass that, like the Starship Enterprise or or like X-wings or anything. And I remember when I started following like the Falcon boosters landing, and like I followed the Starship all the way from like the initial tests, and to hear him go, oh, we're gonna have these rockets just like land by themselves, and then to actually see it, and it looks like CGI, and
they do it.
And to see Teslas driving themselves in part. I mean, it's just like, it's astonishing. And I don't think average people, because we're surrounded by tech and information 24/7, I don't think most people have ever taken a step back to appreciate exactly what a Tesla is, exactly what SpaceX is, because it is shocking how advanced his companies are and the technology those companies have compared to everything else out there. No one's even close.
And it's a real shame that he gets so much hate from press and media and every other car company against Tesla.
Well, because he's taken such an unorthodox approach to his business. In the only way in the 2000s that you're going to come up with a car company right now, with your own pocket money, is to do it the way that he did it.
Yeah.
You try to do it the old school way, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's why we don't have electric cars.
Exactly. And that's why none of the big players have even been able to surpass.
No.
Like Tesla shouldn't be alive.
No.
It shouldn't be a company. SpaceX probably shouldn't be a company.
Right.
And he's been very vocal about that. Like he had to lend money for rent after selling PayPal to invest $80 million in Tesla, $60 million in SpaceX, and $10 million in Solar City. So it's like he had zero money left over, and he's like, "I'm gonna bet the farm and make it happen." And
you think about too. I always forget he's PayPal. I mean, you think about digital Venmo and Apple Pay and Google Pay and all that stuff.
All of it started with like Zip2, which transitioned to PayPal with eBay acquisition. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, I'd be fortunate to participate in or work for a company. Actually, I guess I do with cost. We have stereo headphones, but to be part of something that is so revolutionary and changes the fundamental way human beings work or pay for something or get around or any of that, to be a part of that, not even just like the person that like started or had the idea, just to be part of the company, is God.
Yeah.
So how do you like that Tesla? Is it fast?
It's fast. We'll take a few.
Yeah, we'll
laps,
go for a little ride and do. Check out my Instagram story. I'll do kind of like a highlights of this podcast.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid.
We'll
so I essentially have the second slowest model they make, which is just the
which is still faster than
the long range Model 3, specifically dual motor. And yeah, that is literally the second slowest they make, and it's no one needs a car that fast.
Yeah, I mean it's sort of shocking when you see the new one, the Plaid. That can go 0 to 60 in what, like 1.9 and like perfect
1.99.
God, it's just nuts. I love, I like what you said when I first asked you about, Tesla, and you're like, it's not a buy for everybody, and they're still expensive, and it's obviously the battery modules which makes them so expensive. Yeah. And like it's like I want one, but at the same time, it's hard to justify the added cost because I don't drive that much, so I'm not going to save that much on gas. And I don't know. I still kind of want one. It's still a luxury buy at this point, but eventually it's going to get down within the next 10 years. Now that Hyundai has some big competition, now that Lexus has some big competition, the prices are going to come down. It's going to be more accessible. There's no denying it's the future. Yeah. I mean, I see a future in where it's all electric cars. They have wireless charging on the bottom. Every parking spot at Bayshore Mall or the airport has wireless chargers under it, and you don't even have to plug it in anymore. It just,
it just charges.
So here's a question, and I've always thought about this when it comes to the future of like cars and Tesla and self-driving. Do you think, I guess it's a two-part question, do you think that in our lifetime cars will just everyone's going to be driving by themselves and basically you won't even have the opportunity to control it yourself?
I think
like Jetsons sort of
at mass, yes, but I think there will always be the collector side of things of people that love cars for the love of cars, and I don't think that will ever go away.
Sure. You think it would take like a government like action or a law to be like, guess what? Like we're just letting all cars self-drive so that there's no accidents anymore.
I mean, it would be so much safer.
Yeah.
So much safer. Obviously, the technology is so new right now that I'm not going to say, hey, the autopilot is perfect. Like, it's not. You always
Teslas talk to each other, don't they?
Yeah.
I believe they do.
And when one, again, it's all data points. Everything is just numbers and data points. Yeah. So if, let's say I'm driving on autopilot, I need to slam on the brakes, or it tries to swerve me off the road because there's a cone in the middle of the road. Any user inputs that I need to take control, that piece of data, it gets stored. The AI gets smarter and smarter as I give it more
machine learning
feedback. Exactly, and then that gets spread to every other Tesla, hundreds of thousands at a time. So the actual Tesla AI, it's the world's largest robotics company. At the end of the day, and it's getting smarter and smarter, and that's what people don't really understand.
Right. Have you ever seen the YouTube videos where it kind of visually shows what the computer is seeing?
Yeah.
I mean, it knows a bag, it knows a cat going across the street, it knows a garbage can, a traffic cone.
Quick.
Yeah,
it's fast.
It's just shocking. So here's the other part of my question. Do you think, let's say, for the sake of argument, like the government passes some law and they're like, self-driving is good enough. All these cars are talking to each other.
Yeah.
We can basically end car fatalities, which is like, it's like a top 5 killer in the United States.
100%.
Does that take away the sort of the pride that you have in picking out your car and your car brand? It kind of becomes irrelevant what car you own or what it looks like or any of that stuff. Because I mean, if you're not driving it and you're just sitting there playing, I don't know, Wordle, on your way to work, and you're not actually driving it, do people really care? Is there even an incentive for auto manufacturers to design the cars and make them look cool? And does it become more of like a living room on the road where, because you look at your car, I mean, there's apps, like you can get games for it, and do you think that it's going to be more of a focus of entertainment inside the car as we get more and more self-driving?
I think it's slowly getting there for sure. Mm-hmm. I think it's always going to be an 80-20 of, hey, maybe 80% of people, they don't care what car they drive. They just want to get from point A to point B as fast as possible, as easy as possible. If they don't need to touch a steering wheel, awesome. If there's 0 carbon emissions, that's just an add-on.
Yeah.
So I think from a mass consumer standpoint, I think we'll get there, and it'll, like, driving will just be more entertainment.
Yeah.
You can actually just sit down, have conversations, look people in the eyes, and just like chill, like a living room. Like you said, It's going to be a living room on wheels, and we're pretty close to that already.
Oh, for sure.
But I think there's always going to be that 20% of, hey, I want to get in my AMG, I want to get into my Ferrari, my whatever, because I love cars. I want to get into my 96 Mustang I have.
For sure.
Or maybe that's going to be a 2020 Mustang at some point, and that's going to be a collector's item. So it's crazy, but I think the love of cars will always be there for specific communities. Just because that's, I think, human nature. But
100%.
Yeah, I think from a mass consumer standpoint, we'll definitely get more autonomous.
Have you seen, speaking of autonomous cars, the other day in San Francisco, police stopped that self-driving car?
No.
So there's this company called Cruise, and they're basically developing like self-driving, like an Uber, sort of self-driving Uber system. And there's a video that's circulating around the internet. San Francisco police stopped the self-driving car. The cop walks up to it. There's a video of it. And there's no one inside, and he's like, what the heck? So he like walks back to his car to like radio, the department, and the car starts like driving away, and they didn't understand what it was doing. And I guess it wasn't pulled over in a safe spot, so the car decided to pull over, cross the intersection, and go to a more safe spot for like for the officer. Yeah,
that's so funny.
And it's shocking. It's such a cool video, but you can find it if you just Google San Francisco self-driving car stop.
Yeah,
I think this was on what day was this? It was the other day, but it was kind of crazy.
Yeah. That is wild.
To moving on to a sort of to stay in the tech as far as like the physical thing. Smartphones is another thing that is sort of fascinating to me because, and tell me if you agree, but do you feel like they've peaked? Like what is next for? Because it was a decade from basically start to where we're at now, and is like that's a short time span for something as powerful and as, I would say, altering that is probably one of the most significant pieces of technology that has altered the way human beings work and interact and play.
Yeah.
That maybe in the last century.
Yeah. I don't.
And it all happened in the period of a decade?
A decade. Like, I don't think there is a single invention that's more important to where society is today than the smartphone.
It's your camera. It's your everything. Work device. It's your social media. It's your GPS. I mean, it's everything.
Yeah. And just the way it's hardwired our brains to think differently, to look at the world differently, not in a good or bad way. It's a neutral way, but there's a lot of obviously negative consequences of it for sure. And we're not even talking about just the social media aspect of it, which that's a whole.
We'll get into that next.
Other topic.
We'll get into that next.
But yeah, I think smartphones are. Again, obviously, like. You can make this argument every single year. I don't know how it could get any better. And then Apple comes out with, the supercomputer.
No,
chip?
It's got 5 cameras.
No, it's just in our phones. And it's like the acceleration of accelerating tech is going so fast that I don't know how much longer we need to carry a very fragile supercomputer in our pocket that if I drop it, it could break. It's like, that seems silly.
Right.
Because this is such a important, powerful device. And it's like, what if I just drop it on the concrete, then it breaks?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem feasible. So it'll be some form of AI.
I always think the Apple Watch or watches or some sort of wearables or a combination of wearables like a watch and AR glasses or I don't know what. I mean, I feel like we're going to look ridiculous, but I feel like
why is it different than just wearing normal sunglasses?
Right.
So you can just have your Apple style Martin Moore glasses, and that'll replace your phone.
I think
all be AR tech. Like that's what I want. Like
it'd be cool, and I think regardless if like it sounds ridiculous, companies like Apple and Google and Amazon, they're going to push that stuff. So it'll come whether we like it or not. I mean, Amazon has like the Amazon Ring that you can like talk. It's like a wedding ring that you can talk into, and there's just so many. The Google glasses, remember those, like the glass holes, like you see it walking around, and they're really trying to push it. Apple's apparently working on AR glasses. Like the stuff is coming, and it's just like it's weird because it's like some of it sounds so dumb, but then it ends up being ubiquitous in the last in 5 or 10 years. And you went. I remember when phones, not even smartphones, but cell phones started getting cameras in them. I'm talking like 0.5 megapixel.
Yeah.
And I specifically remember watching my parents watch the news, and like it was like a news piece, and people were freaking out about how there's going to be cameras everywhere, and people are going to film me at the library and film me at the grocery store, and everyone's going to be on camera, and people were freaking out. Now, I mean,
it's so funny.
How many TikToks do you think you're in, like in the background of like someone else?
That's funny.
I would love to know how many times I've been in someone's TikTok or Instagram story or Snapchat, just randomly. Like I was
Walmart.
Yeah, I was going through Walmart or
I would love that. TikTok probably has all that data already.
I wish I could figure that out.
You just need to figure it out.
So speaking of social media, because that's kind of the next thing I want to get into, because Q, right? Quentin Allums.
Yep.
Why did I ask
Talked
you
to
that?
him
Of course. We've always had this conversation. He's a big metaverse guy. Yeah, huge metaverse guy, and that's another one of those things where it's like social media. Where does it go next? Because I feel like it's sort of peaked with Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Twitter, and they've been around long enough where they're almost unrivaled. They're oligopolies. And so, you hear about the metaverse and the idea of all of us living in this weird virtual freaking world.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on?
This is gonna be a warm take. I would say not a hot take, not a cold take. It's gonna be a warm take, maybe like
because I have my own thoughts on
take. I hate the metaverse. I love augmented reality. I hate virtual reality.
Yeah.
And there's a very, I think there's a very gray line in between the two. But I've played with like Oculuses and stuff. I've played with VR. I don't like it at all. I wish it would die. I wish it would go down. I wish Meta would burn to the ground. But if you're talking Apple AR glasses where I can blend my physical reality with digital, I'm all on board with that. I want tech to be so good that it's seamless from reality. And we can have a sit-down conversation here, look each other in the eye, feel the walls around us,
touch the grass,
go in nature, like sit on grass, but have technology integrated so perfectly that it doesn't disrupt real physical life.
Right.
And I'm so not on board with living in a fully VR world. Am I saying it's next? It'll be there eventually.
Yeah.
I think we're a ways away from it. But yeah, I'm pretty against like full metaverse, full virtual worlds. I'm super for augmented worlds though.
Yeah.
I love that. Like Pokemon Go, I think that's been
I always forget about that.
I think the Pokemon Go era, obviously Pokemon Go is still around, but the era of 2016, 17, so whenever it was like everyone.
Anytime you saw someone staring at their phone, walking around, they're playing Pokemon Go.
Hey, at least they're staring at their phones, looking through the cameras, looking at the real world with a device in between, than doing the same thing in their basement.
Right.
So yeah, at least they're enjoying some sunshine. I don't care if you're looking at your phone. So that's the world I want to push more towards. Of the blend between tech and real life, and not fully all tech all the time.
Like WALL-E, you ever see that movie?
Yep.
That's what I worry would inevitably happen.
Yeah.
Like, because
what was the newest one that came out a little bit ago? Maybe last year, 2 years ago. They live in it's the metaverse.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Hold on, let's see if I can Google this. Metaverse. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I cannot think of what it was called.
Everyone's living in their goggle world and stuff.
Oh God, no, I can't
play the game.
I mean, Free Guy.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Ready Player One.
Yep, Ready Player One.
Yes.
RP1. Yes.
I forgot about that. That was a good movie.
It was a good movie, but that doesn't seem like an exciting world to me.
And one of my biggest concerns about that is, and this sounds like stupid, but I feel like once you start dabbling in that, there's no going back. And it's like you think about the Matrix movies and how ridiculous that sounds. It doesn't sound out of the realm of like possible. Yeah. Like the closer we get to like that kind of stuff. I mean, all it takes is, a company like Facebook to create some sort of thing where you can have like virtual meetings with people. Like, work from home is such a big thing now.
Yeah.
Imagine if you don't have to be on a Zoom and you could just put some glasses on and actually you could see the people. I mean, it'd still be weird, but it's better than being on a Zoom. And it starts with shit like that.
Yeah.
And then, you get connected to family members who live in Florida or California and you can be with each other. And video games, and it slowly creeps up on you. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're spending 12 hours a day in the metaverse. Yeah. And it's like, at what point does that become more real than the real world you're in? Because you're spending all your time in there. You're working in the metaverse. You're playing in there. You're talking to your friends and family member.
That scares me.
At what point do you want to? You can't wait to get in there and hang out with people or the person you're dating or the job that you love. Just like it's a phone, like people buried in their phones, and that's what worries me.
It scares me.
Maybe that's a boomer talking to me.
No, because it's like being addicted to this phone. Like I struggle with it so much. It's the worst. And it's even worse because I make a living off of social media. I make like this is my lifeline. Like this is my business and everything. So it's like I have such a hard relationship with social and digital addiction. It's super hard. So I'm always battling that and trying to come up with different ways. I'm like, I don't need more.
I know it's tough. That's why I always hate when a new social media platform comes out. I always sign up for it just so I get at Martin Moore.
Yep.
But it's just it gets exhausting sometimes trying to keep up with all of the platforms. Everything. And now YouTube has reels or stories or whatever the hell their version is. YouTube and it's just
shorts,
I just get so exhausted from trying to create all this content and put it on a million different platforms. And I wish there was one.
Yeah.
And I hope it's not the metaverse.
Oh my God. I hope not. I hope not.
Sort of the last thing I want to get into with this whole Future Vibes episode is work, because I think that's the one thing that we've seen since, COVID in the last 2 years that's really, really, really been transformed by tech, and tech has really accelerated the way that people work with the gig economy, with people working from home and remote working. It's sort of shocking looking back and thinking about you can work wherever you want now if you really want to, and you don't have to move. You don't have to, if you have an hour commute to work, we have someone that I work with and he commutes an hour to work, and it's or you could just work from home, do the exact same thing and save the 2 hours a day. Where do you see some of the changes we've seen from COVID as far as its influence on working from home, the gig economy and stuff like that? Where do you see some of those changes being short term, and where do you see some of them being sort of long term?
Yeah, I think.
So that was a long question.
I think definitely, obviously, short term, we saw a huge push for everyone to go online.
Yeah.
And I think some companies and some people really loved it. Some people hated it. Some companies hated it. But I think overall, all companies had to adapt to a new way of work in some capacity. So I think short term, that's here to stay. We'll see a continuous influx of remote work, of people quitting their jobs too, diving into freelance work, gig economy side of things, starting their own businesses, which equally scares me,
right?
Because entrepreneurship is not the easiest, but we definitely see more and more people quitting their jobs, and I couldn't be more excited about that. My mom just quit her job, and I just hired her.
Oh, so well done, Mom! Shout out.
That's exciting, but we see that trend more and more. So I'm excited for more people to start quitting their traditional 9-to-5 jobs and dive into gig economy. So I think that's here to stay. I think long term too, Like we're just going to see more and more flexibility in workplace. And I think especially from an employer standpoint, a company standpoint, they need to be comfortable and understand that their employees and workers, they're going to have multiple things on their hands.
Yeah.
Like everyone I work with that's on like Blank Slate team, we all work with other companies in some capacity. It's not just Blank Slate. It's not just X, Y, and Z company.
Sure.
So having that flexibility is huge. And me kind of like being responsible for hiring. It's like that's something I want to make ultra clear to other people, any new members that come in. It's like, hey, I've been a part of other teams before. I currently work with other companies. Here's like companies I work with outside of Blank Slate. And I don't expect the same from them, but I'm open to it because I never want to say, hey, you need to work 12 hours a day here or nothing else. It's like, no, that's what this lifestyle allows. It allows us to work 2-3 gigs at a time, essentially, which helps me long term. It helps everyone long term.
For sure.
And I love that. So I'm excited to see kind of how the future of work, I guess, iterates into that or how it adapts to that.
I mean, it's really been disrupted, and it's been fascinating to see this sort of the industries where people are really leaving hospitality. I mean, people don't want to be bartenders and they don't want to be hostesses.
But why?
Healthcare,
why would you?
Right?
When you're making $10 to $20 an hour,
right? Getting yelled at by people and having to wear.
My buddy's he's a few years older than me, but he's like started making coffee TikToks. I'm like, dude, you love coffee, like just start making TikToks. So like I saw him like gradually make like 1 TikTok a week, then maybe 2 TikToks a week. So with 100 views, 150 views, we like slowly started chatting again. We knew each other from high school, but he started like asking questions. We like started talking, and like one video blew up, and he was at like maybe 200 to 200 followers up until maybe a month ago, I would say, maybe like 6 weeks ago. One video blew up, and he's a coffee nerd. One video blows up, like 6 million views right now, and he just crossed 100,000 followers in less than 6 weeks. And that completely changes his life. He's already done deals with Yeti.
Dude, that's awesome.
And it's like he was well off before, but he can easily now make more on TikTok than being an Audi salesman. You know? And that's a good job.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Like selling $60,000, $70,000 Audis, you can make
a buck.
But why would anyone work a $10 an hour job when they have the access to maybe it's not TikTok specifically, but making money on social and digital and with your phone.
So many opportunities now that just didn't exist back then where you could just quit your job.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how many people are being Uber drivers and Lyft drivers now. I mean, you're working for yourself. Look at how many kids stream. You know, they're playing Fortnite and all these video games and making a ton of money on Twitch at like 15 years old.
Yeah.
People with YouTube channels, Instagram influencers. I mean, there is just an endless amount of things you can do that require no college education where you can literally make tens or hundreds of thousands or sometimes $1 million a year.
Yeah.
And there's just so much opportunity out there for people that don't want to be a nurse anymore or they don't want to be a hostess or a waiter anymore to go deliver food or start their own TikTok or to just do whatever it is. You know, there's so many opportunities now, and the industries are going to have to change. They're going to have to pay more. They're going to have to be, like you said, more flexible, or people are going to continue in droves leaving some of these jobs and these careers. Yeah. And I mean, we're going to be left with, you know, no policemen, no nurses, you know, no one to serve us food or make us drinks. And, you know, we're seeing that influx rise right now. And it's sort of scary to think about it, if it continues and what it's going to be like in 5 more years. Yeah. You know,
it's also interesting. I was talking to my girlfriend Katie about this, and a lot of people like think social media, even nowadays, like you wouldn't believe how many people close to me or like friends I have that are, again, 21, 22, 23, 24 years old. They still think doing TikTok for a living or social media in general, I'll just call it the social media umbrella, that's
isn't a real job.
And it'll go away. It's like, what is one single job out there that's more secure than social media or the current landscape of social media? Because at the end of the day, it's human connection.
Yeah.
And everything else will be taken away by robots and automations, which I think is good. I think that's net human positive.
Yes.
Because robots do human jobs so much better.
Oh, for sure.
If at one point there's just robot doctors and they do procedures, that likelihood of error, the human error element, like that's all taken out of. 100%.
And people always get afraid. They hear about how like, well, when trucks came out and it was going to kill the train industry, and now that self-driving trucks are it always creates new jobs. It takes away, but then people have to design this stuff and maintain it, and advance the technology. It always creates new jobs. So it's sort of a giant circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it's weird when there's young people that think that like that being on social media and doing that for a living isn't, like, in air quotes, a real job.
Yeah, because it's like robots will not replace the human connection we have.
The human connection and the content creation.
Yep.
Although there is in Japan, there's this one influencer on Instagram, and I'm making up the number, but it's something. She has like 10 million followers, but she's like an AI, like CGI.
I'm forgetting her name. I've seen her, and it's crazy. She has TikToks and stuff. It's all just CGI TikTok.
But that's sort of an anomaly, like you said, that human connection in the content creation. That's just something that isn't going to go anywhere.
It's art
soon.
It's art,
and art is in whatever fashion it's been, whether it's music or acting or movies or whatever. That's been around since the beginning of time, and it's just like you said, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
All right, a couple more questions to finish this bad boy off. Should Mars be a realistic goal for humans?
Yes.
Why do you think so?
Because it would be cool.
I guess Elon Musk says we always need to be a multi-planet species. Like,
I think so. I would agree. Like, there's...
Can't hurt.
Yeah. What else? Like, why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
And I would almost, like, it's obviously
it's the next logical
blah,
step.
Blah, blah, but it's like, doesn't that make you excited for the future? Like, that gets me excited to live another day on the planet knowing, like, there's another planet out there that we could live on potentially. Maybe it's not our lifetime. Maybe it's not our grandchildren's lifetimes, whatever. But like it will happen
next couple
eventually.
100 years.
Yeah. And will it be at scale? And will we have Marriott hotels on Mars?
Will you and me have
condos
on Mars with our Cybertrucks,
but
bumming around the desert?
It's fun to at least think and envision that reality.
Yeah. All right. What advancement in tech has surprised you the most at this point in your life? From like when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Honestly, it can be a piece of tech. It can be an industry.
Yeah. Smartphones. It's completely changed my life. It's changed everyone around me. It's changed everyone's life in some capacity. And I guess just seeing where I've built my life on top of a smartphone, really. That's the coolest thing, and that's the biggest thing that's, I think, surprised me so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What idea or concept are you most excited about to see kind of come to life in the future? Like in your lifetime, what are you most excited to see? Like if you make it to 80, 90, 100 years old, like what are you most excited to see?
The technology that enables me to get to 80 to 90, but that's only halfway there.
Ooh,
I want to.
I like that.
I want to go 150, 170.
God,
so I'm excited.
It could happen.
It will happen.
Especially with things like CRISPR
It will, yeah. Stem cells, everything. Like, I'm excited about that tech. I'm diving into it a little more. I'm very not well versed. I'm not well versed on that subject, but that's probably the most excited I am to advance human lifespans.
I agree.
And I guess the biotech industry.
I agree.
If that's biotech.
I think healthcare in general is something that I'm really excited for, because just our healthcare system and the way we approach healthcare is so archaic. And it just hasn't kept pace with every other industry. And healthcare is a big tech industry, and it just hasn't kept pace. Amazon has their own entire healthcare system, and I mean they're scaling it so quickly, and I just think it's a matter of time before Amazon or Google or Apple creates their own healthcare industry, and then we say bye to all the ones that are around here. But yeah, like you said, man, I'm sort of jacked for that. I think the biggest hurdles are going to be like cancer, and then a lot of the cognitive diseases, Alzheimer's, dementia, those sorts of things. Like
Yep.
those are going to be hard ones that we can 3D print. I'm sure we'll 3D print livers and kidneys and hearts, all that kind of shit when organs fail.
Yeah.
But I think some of those cognitive diseases
Yeah.
and then cancer, which I pray to God I never get, I think those are going to be the biggest ones. And once we get over those two hurdles,
I think that's it. It has to be soon.
I mean, we can build legs. I mean, your legs, your muscles go out. I mean, people.
We have too many smart people on the planet and too many great inventors for that not to be solved in our lifetime.
Right.
Like we have everything we would ever need.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. Last two questions. Favorite piece of tech. Least favorite piece of tech.
Ooh. Favorite piece of.
It could be anything. It could be a toothbrush. It could be.
Yeah. Favorite piece of tech, not all time, but right now,
Sure.
my Remarkable Notepad.
Ooh.
Because it's completely opposite of tech.
Uh-huh.
You might ask, what does it do, Sam? Is it a crazy AR virtual reality tablet? No, it's the closest thing you can get from just a physical notebook, but it's not even digital. It doesn't have an LED screen.
Really?
It's just backlit.
Is it like an e-ink?
It feels like paper. It's just an expensive notebook.
Nice.
You can upload like PDFs to it and stuff.
That sounds fun.
But it's fantastic. I got it over iPad Pro. I got
Send me the
over
link to that. I wanna see
piece
it.
of actual technology. And it's awesome. I love it because I stare at a freaking screen all day long that I can now just journal without needing to look at an LED screen all day long, and it feels like paper. It sounds like paper when you write. So it's kind of like my anti-tech that I love and I hold on to.
Isn't it funny how that stuff like comes full circle like that?
Yeah. And it's like I wouldn't feel guilty taking that out, setting up my hammock in the middle of the woods, and just like writing on my Remarkable. It's like you probably shouldn't bring your like iPad Pro out into the woods and just like watch YouTube in your hammock. Like that seems counterproductive, but I would totally do that with my Remarkable tablet. And obviously, this isn't a paid promotion because I've tried to get in contact with them. So they have the worst support team on the planet. You cannot get in touch with them.
We'll tag them and see if we can.
Amazing products, and maybe they do that on purpose. But I have nothing against them though.
All right, final question. Least favorite piece of tech. So like if there's something like you could just X from all of humankind, so it made it easier for you to not like use it.
Yeah.
Least favorite piece of tech.
The entire Ford car company. Least favorite piece of tech, the metaverse in general. Maybe that's more software. Or VR goggles.
God, they're so lame.
VR goggles.
I'm sorry, no one's ever looked cool or will ever look cool in them things. I don't care what they look like.
Like I've played Beat Saber, fun game, gives me crazy headaches after 7 seconds. I wish we didn't have VR goggles.
I agree.
I don't like them. I hate them. I wish we just had more AR goggles at scale.
Right. Dude, where can people find you?
Type in sam.video on Google, and that will pop up everything. That's my URL. That's my website. sam.video. So.
Dude, thank you for hopping on season 2. Thank you for being my first guest back in this new space that we're recording in. I appreciate it. You want to go for a ride in the Tesla?
Yes, let's do it. Woo! Thanks, Martin.